I like to serve people. And so I wasn't getting that. All I was serving was making somebody money in the corporate world.
Sure.
And so, made the plunge. December 21, I got my license and haven't looked back. You know, people call and they say, okay, what's land worth? Okay, where? Well, somewhere around Houston.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask again, where?
Yeah.
You go east, it's much cheaper. You go west, it's, and it's all about that fragmentation and what's happening, right? You're either selling your calves on the hoof or you're selling it in a package. The return on selling in a package is just far greater. Let's say he weighs 1,200 pounds and hangs at 8. I can sell that for $9, $9.50 on hanging weight. Whereas you take that same calf, you're taking that, say you take a 9-weight calf, you don't feed it all the way out to 1,200 because you're going to butcher it. You take that same calf you're going to take to the sale barn at 8s or 9 weights, whatever it is, and you're getting $3-4 a pound for it. You really need to know what your buying power is and know where you want to go. What you can buy with that same dollar in, let's just call it northeast of Houston versus west of Houston is not the same.
Yeah.
It is not even close to the same.
Welcome to the Landowner Insider, the podcast for Texas landowners who want to stay up to date with current events shaping our state. Here we talk about issues that actually impact your Texas lands, markets, water, wildlife, policy, and the decisions that are shaping our state. I'm your host, Kasey Mock with the Mock Ranches Group. And in each episode, we sit down with the people who are shaping the future of Texas. We're not afraid to ask the hard questions. This is the Landowner Insider Podcast, presented by the Mock Ranches Group.
Hey, Brandon, welcome to Stephenville.
How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for coming up last night.
You bet.
We got to go tour feedlot.
Nice.
And had some good dinner.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How far is your drive up from Houston?
Just under 4 hours from where I'm at. I'm on the northwest side, so just under 4 hours for me.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got
Pretty
it.
easy drive.
Yeah. Well, you and I have been talking about doing one of these for quite a while. We've worked together for 4 years. How long?
3. Yeah.
3 years?
This April was 3. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it. So just over 3 years.
Yep.
Known you for double that long time.
Sure.
Yeah. We did some coaching and stuff before.
You bet.
And you've been in real estate for how long?
A little over 5.
A little over 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah. 6 years this year.
Got it. Well, man, we're sure proud of you. This last year, you were one of our top producers again, top hand award on the team.
Appreciate that.
Team player through and through. So
Yeah.
proud of you, and been looking forward to sitting down together.
You bet.
Been looking forward to sitting down together.
I appreciate you having me up.
Yep, you bet. Accredited land consultant, Brandon Stevens, ALC. What is that?
If I was to describe it in just a few words, it's kind of a resident expert, I guess, is kind of the thing that I would probably try to describe that with, right? You go through all of the education piece of it. You have not only the education piece, but the production piece, and probably the part that probably sets it apart in my mind is you can't get it with just the education and the production. You actually have to have 2 letters of recommendation from existing accredited land consultants, and there's just not very many. So I think that's the camaraderie piece of it, and the networking piece, referral-based stuff is probably the most important in my mind.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now to see how many ALCs there are.
Yeah, I think the last 4 or 5 that they put on, I think that number fluctuates with people, leaving and, not renewing, but I think it was
1,200 or so?
No, 745, 750. So really, really small number.
Yeah. 760.
Yeah.
I just looked this up. They'll ChatGPT University.
You bet. That's right.
Okay, the Accredited Land Consultant ALC designation is the premier credential for the land real estate professional, awarded by the Realtors Land Institute to agents who demonstrate extensive experience, advanced education, and a proven track record in land transactions. The ALC designees are recognized as trusted experts in the acquisition, management, and disposition of farms, ranches, recreational timber, and development land across the country. The most recent figure published by the Realtors Land Institute indicates that there are approximately 760 accredited land consultants nationwide. That makes it one of the most exclusive designations in real estate. Considering there are roughly 1.5 million realtors and more than 3.5 million licensed real estate professionals in the United States. 760 ALCs.
Yeah, it goes from a really big number to a really small number real fast.
Fewer than 1/10% of realtors hold the designation.
Yeah. Now you and I, let's
well, we can all get the same license. Like you can go cram for a few weeks and get a test, take a test and get a license. Not all realtors are created equally when it comes to knowledge and what we do.
That's right. Now you and I both know land brokers that don't have that ALC that are really good land brokers.
Oh,
right?
sure.
But it's the dedication to go through that process.
Sure.
Because I sat down and had lunch with one just a couple of days ago that's a very good land broker and been in the business 30 something years that doesn't have that designation. They just haven't went through that process. And I was glad to have the opportunity to go through it. So
It's an expensive process.
it's not cheap.
And it's time consuming. It took me several years to do it.
Yeah. Now I did mine through the boot camp. So you go to a 9-day boot camp. Mine was a little shorter because I didn't make the first day. I had a prior commitment, so I wasn't able to go, and I had to go later on and get it. So I did the boot camp way, which it's a long time away from home. Myself and
Week and a half or so.
9 days ish. We were gone, and myself and a couple others off the team we went. So kind of made it a group effort. So we was in Georgia. But you meet, I like the boot camp. You meet a lot of people, a lot of different people across the nation, and we still have communication with them now.
Yeah.
We go to the National Land Conference, and we get to see them all again, and you take pictures, and you get to talk about wives and kids and all the things. So that's good.
The ALC's neat. One thing it really encourages is collaboration.
That's right.
It's a strong network. When you're in the ALC network, you get to reach out to people around the country who have sold feedlots and big commercial projects and are experts in development, conservation, whatever it is. You're working with the best of the best who are also committed to transparency and committed to collaboration.
Yeah.
That's what I've enjoyed most about it.
Yeah, and the collaboration, you have to start with that, because if you don't get those 2 letters, you don't get your designation, and if there's 760, that's not very many to choose from to get a letter of recommendation. So
the ALC, you have to express competency, productivity, and education. Whereas you can go get licensed to sell something legally with no competency, no experience.
That's right.
Yeah. Which happens all too often.
Yeah.
But this is for agents and brokers who've expressed competency, very high production, and committed. Once you've achieved that level of production and competency, then you go through the education process.
Sure.
So it's like it would be equivalent to a graduate degree or a doctorate in land brokerage.
I think a lot of it
requires an undergrad. There's prerequisites, right? It requires an undergrad first.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what you have to do to get it is just proving that you have the ability to see it through, because just putting the packet together is no simple feat.
No.
It's a pretty thick little
a lot of help from my wife and from Tricia.
Yeah, you bet.
I'd have never got it
That's
done.
right. Yeah. And that's probably what keeps a lot of people from doing it. At the end of the day, it's that, the dedication to sit down and actually do the packet and get the letters and, write out your reason why you want to do that. So, yeah.
How'd you end up in this industry? You were a peace officer before?
Yeah. So I spent most of my adult life in public service before moving to Texas. I grew up in Southwest Missouri, spent most of my life there. Ended up in West Texas, picking up the $100 bills laying on the ground in the oil field.
Okay.
And so my wife and I, we had an opportunity to move to Houston, and she was 100% against it. But they flew us out anyway from West Texas.
She liked West Texas?
She did not, but she was a Dallas person.
Okay.
So, no, we ended up in Houston, and she really liked that melting pot, and Mama's happy, I'm happy. So we ended up there. I was in business management. And when we was in West Texas, she's got a financial background. And so she started working for Keller Williams as their MCA, Market Center Administrator.
Got it.
Out in West Texas. And she kept telling me, Brandon, you really need to get your real estate license. You'd absolutely do an amazing job. And I was like, every one of them that I know is just not the kind of people that I want to be around. And unfortunately, I didn't know you could have I didn't know what I didn't know at the time, right? Raised cattle all my life. and I didn't know there was the farm and ranch and ranch broker niche. So fast forward to 21 in the corporate world, and I decided that I was, I'd actually started the real estate course. You can do it all online, and I'd started it once or twice, and it just bored me. It just bored me stiff. So I just didn't finish it.
Like Champion School or something like that.
Yeah, it was one of those online things, right? Yeah. For sure. And so I decided that I was tired of making corporate people money, and I wasn't getting that helping. I've got I like to serve people. And so I wasn't getting that. All I was serving was making somebody money in the corporate world. Sure. And so made the plunge. December 21, I got my license and haven't looked back.
This is on the profession, right? So real estate agent in Texas, 180 classroom hours typically takes 2 to 6 months. Okay. CPA, 4-year bachelor's plus 150, plus 150 college credit hours, typically 5 to 6 years. Attorney, 4-year bachelor's plus 3 years law school plus bar exam, typically 7 years. Physician, 4-year bachelor's plus 4 years medical school plus 3 to 7 years of residency, typically 11 to 15 years. MBA is a 4-year bachelor's plus 1 to 2 year MBA program, typically 5 to 6 years. So typically an attorney invests over 10,000 hours in formal education. CPA, 7,500 to 9,000. Physician, well over 20,000. Real estate agent, 180.
Pretty low barrier of entry.
So it's interesting. This is a subject that I talk about a lot because CPA deals with your taxes. A physician deals with your health. That's obviously of highest importance. An attorney deals with your legal issues, maybe your estate, very high importance. We deal with, most of the time, our clients' largest financial assets. Mm-hmm. Yet the barrier of entry is only 180 hours.
Yeah. If you're looking at the bare minimum, for sure.
Yeah. So when you see that not all real estate agents are created equally and they're not all impressive.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Just back into the math. The math never lies.
Yeah. I don't know what the statistics are, but there's a large percentage of real estate agents that don't do anything all year.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so
70 to 80%.
Yeah.
Of licensed agents.
Right.
You could say the industry may say, well, they're not active. Maybe they're not, but they're licensed.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And they're licensed. So if their brother-in-law, sister-in-law said, hey, I want to sell my house, I guarantee they would jump in and say, oh, let me do that for you.
Sure.
I would love to help you with that.
And why are they doing that? It's that they see that dollar sign.
Oh, yeah.
They know what that one transaction can get them. They can go buy that new little whatever it is they want to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but get licensed and learn as you go is not a very good model for success for you or your clients.
That's right. Yeah.
Man, so you mentioned earlier, you said that you weren't aware that this niche of farm and ranch real estate was there. I mean, it's been around a long time. You ever seen that movie, There Will Be Blood?
I don't expect so.
It's probably in the early 2000s. Have you seen it, Taylor? There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis, I think, is the actor. It's about an old landman.
Okay.
And so, he would come in, he was in West Texas, and he'd come in and acquire mineral rights, sometimes not always pretty. But
acquires the key word. Acquire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But back then, they would fold out these maps, right? And he had a map and say, this person owns this and that person owns this, and they'd be a couple of them on the table. And if you talk to him, why won't they sell? What would be their hot button? Would they sell? And that was, what's the win here and what's the motivation there? And in knowing that in your local area, man, that's how the ranch brokers used to operate. That's how they used to operate. And they would know this particular piece of property and this particular person's goals and how to do that. Now it's turned into such a digital game, but the industry is changing a lot too, especially where you're at, Southeast Texas. You're headquartered in North Houston. Mm-hmm. And so you and I were talking earlier about just the rapid fragmentation that's happening there all across our state, but the rapid land fragmentation happening there. And what I think about a lot, when I moved here to Stephenville, Texas for college, I was from just south of Austin. It's where I grew up, Hayes County area, at that point was like the fastest growing county in the state of Texas. And we moved here, and there were some guys from big ranches in North and West Texas. And what we called the ranch in Hays County, they would call it bull trap.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And they had Max, I remember Max Ebling, he was from Round Mountain, and they had ranches at Eden also. And Max Ebling told me one time, I mentioned a ranch, 100 acres, and Max goes, 100 acres? That's not even a bull trap.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, things are all relative, aren't they?
Yeah.
So for our clients, it's the same way.
Sure. I think if you look at the, especially where I'm at, a large piece of ground is 40, 50 acres.
Yeah.
That's a large piece of ground over there. Mm-hmm. And for what we have, you can run a decent amount of cattle on a 40, 50 acre piece of property.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, and it's, even in the small time that I've been in, 5 years, that fragmentation from, if you go Harris County and then you just continue to move out, it has gotten, you used to be able to go Waller County, Montgomery County, and find some decent size. It is just, it's all of it's getting busted up. I think Waller County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state right now. And I think it's growing so fast they cannot keep up. Yeah. So
did you ever know Mark and Kristen King? Mark was the president at KWI.
I know the name, and I know the face, right? I've never shook his hand, but yeah.
They're from Missouri, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he bought a place from us years ago over in Driftwood. It was 10 acres, and they call it the King Ranch.
Oh, wow.
I was thinking,
okay.
the term, and they would put on mastermind classes. They're great people.
Yeah.
So if Mark and Kristen hear this,
that's awesome.
It's not a stab at you. It's just all things are relative.
Yeah.
And so you have they would put on mastermind classes and business classes at the ranch. Mm-hmm. Come to the King's Ranch or the King Ranch for a business class.
Sure.
It was 10 acres with a barn on it and a little horse arena.
Yeah.
And then you've got I can only imagine somebody that hears that and they're thinking, the King Ranch? Y'all own the King Ranch?
That's right.
The King Ranch,
Yeah, that's a good play on words. I like that.
So all things are relative, right? And
sure.
I did some research this morning. About 60% of Texas farms and ranches are under 100 acres.
Yeah.
And so definitely as you move toward Houston, hyper-local around Austin, but as you move toward Houston, that's going to be a higher percentage. Very few are going to be that large when you move into North Texas, Panhandle, and West Texas.
Right.
So if you were to look at the fragmentation and the small acreage size, as you move southeast in our state, you're going to see that accelerate.
Yeah.
Right.
Now there's some bigger places you get over into Chambers County and some of that stuff. There's some bigger places still over there, and there are bigger ranches still out there that are together. But by and large, the lion's share of that is smaller stuff.
Yeah, sure there are.
Yeah.
Texas has roughly, here's some more math I looked up, or data I looked up. This is according to AgriLife Extension now, Texas AgriLife Extension Service. 60% of Texas farms and ranches are under 100 acres. Texas has roughly 230,000 farms and ranches. So those are properties in some type of production, okay? I'm sure they're basing that off of comptroller data where you have an ag sales tax.
Yeah. Ag valuations.
But there's going to be more than that for ones that have 1D1 open space.
Sure.
So these are some that they're aware that have some type of production. Beef cattle operations are the most common agriculture enterprise in the state. Now this math I was really surprised at. Despite the large number of small properties, they only account for about 3% of Texas agricultural land, and a smaller percent, not smaller than 3%, but it's a minority. I was expecting to see a higher percentage of cattle production on small acreage.
Yeah,
I couldn't find a hard number, like what percentage of cows that come to the sale barn in the state of Texas come off of small operations. Do you know that?
I don't. No, and I think the reason why that number is so small is, Texas is a great big old state.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and you start getting further west and up north and stuff like that. It is much, much bigger ground. So, we're a big place over in southeast Texas is, 45, 50 acres. That doesn't even scratch the surface in most of the state as far as size wise.
Yeah.
I think that's why that number is so small.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew what percentage of cattle came off of small acreage places. I could probably make one phone call and
we could do some numbers on that.
no, I could call my buddy Brian Davis, or I could probably call Trevor Poe, but both of them are pretty busy today.
They got their hands full today.
Yeah.
Big day yesterday in Texas.
Yeah, yesterday about 5 o'clock, it was confirmed that there was the first case the first confirmed case.
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
sure
New World.
I'm sure there's more, but confirmed.
I'm sure.
Confirmation is there.
But the first confirmed case of the New World screwworm in Texas. So down in La Pryor, Zavala County, 2 baby calves, screwworms in their navel. Yeah. Big deal. If listeners, if you want to know about the New World screwworm and take a deep dive, about a month and a half ago. So this is probably go back 5 or 6 episodes. I recorded an interview with Dr. T.R. Lansford, who is lead veterinarian, executive director of Texas Animal Health Commission. Sat at that seat right there, and we talked for 2 hours about the New World screwworm. At that time, it was still 180 miles away from the border. Yeah. But today it's in Texas, and so those guys are full on, and they're doing full disaster response. They're dispatching teams down there. They're going to start dropping flies, the sterile flies, and somebody wants to go take a deep dive on that. Go back and listen to that previous episode. Yeah,
as long as there's not a huge panic, I think it'll be okay. Yeah, but panic's coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it will.
I mean, panic's coming.
Well, I stopped at the feed store on the way in this morning.
Yes, sir.
And spent $200 on fly prevention and stocked up on ivermectin for my horses. And because I think ivermectin and Dectomax are the only 2 antiparasitics that the screwworm that'll kill them. Yeah. Now fly prevention, like with the permethrin, just your fly sprays, any of that fly control, basic parasite control is good. But if you're looking at an injectable or a feed through, it'd have to be ivermectin or Dectomax. Neither one of those are very palatable. Sure. And so it creates an issue with feed through products. Yeah. And the other thing about the screwworm is not a manure living fly. And so like they've all on the shelf or on the counter at the feed store earlier, they had all these feed throughs for horses, feed through fly control. The horse, you put a little top dress your feed, and it's gut activated, and so the horse eats the feed. They eat the fly control too. That goes through the hind intestine. They defecate. They poop on the ground, right? And then that activates that insecticide. And when the flies, now these are your basic horn flies, when they land on the manure piles, they lay maggots. Then that insecticide is in that manure, and it'll kill the maggots, and so you can kill the lifespan of the flies. But the New World screwworm fly is not a fly that lives in and around your horse stalls and your cow pens on manure. They live on plants, and they're attracted to that new wound. Yeah. And so that's going to be an interesting thing. But we talk about, I guess on that subject, Brandon, and on small acreage, back in the 50s and 60s, when there weren't very many small acreage cattle ranches, we had the New World screwworm.
Sure.
Okay. And just a few years ago, had it in Florida, in the Keys. Not many cattle down there, but the key deer, some little white-tailed deer that live down there had it. But we think about land fragmentation, small acreage operators. They're going to be able to operate just fine with this screwworm. Yeah. I don't think they have any reason to panic.
I don't, because most of those are getting their eyes on their cattle nearly every day or every other day, right? Yeah. And they know them, and a lot of them are handling them. I think we're
tend to be pretty gentle cattle mostly too.
Yeah,
just because you're around them a lot.
I'll use my herd for an example, right? Mine are puppy dog tame. Sometimes just too much. Yeah. Right. Stay in your hip pocket. But
it'd be pretty easy to treat. You could probably spot treat a wound right there
immediately. That's right. And if you're like myself, I've got 2 places where I keep cattle, and I see them every other day. At least every other day, and so I'm going to know. It's the ones that are not with their cattle every day, or larger places. I think that would be the ones that probably have a little bit more worry. And I would bet that once this thing starts to unravel, the frequency that they're going to see their cattle will probably increase. Yeah. Right now. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
We worked, a little over 100 head at my in-laws the last 2 days. They ranched there in San Saba County, Lampasas, San Saba, and Mills counties.
Yeah. How often are they seeing their cattle?
I bet my father-in-law sees those cows once or twice a week.
Okay. Yeah.
Each pasture.
Yeah.
Once or twice a week.
Yeah. It would be pretty easy to identify once or twice a week.
They're on pretty big places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spread out.
Spread out on 500-acre pastures.
Might be a little tough.
Be a little tough.
Yeah.
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 And those cows are not super tame. They are cake broke, but they're not super tame. Those pastures are pretty brushy.
Yeah, I would say the operations are going to change a little bit. We're going to start seeing some road feeding and some things where you can get your cattle up. Just talking about the cattle business, but you can get your cattle up and actually just get your eyeballs on them.
Yeah, probably be some evolution in fly control as you cake those cows. Is there going to be a way to come back through them and mist them with mist them with fly spray? Probably so.
Sure.
Will there be some type of labeled feed throughs? I'm sure there'll be something along those lines, that you can feed through for fly control. But those small acreage places, those cattle tend to be pretty gentle and docile because you can get your eyes on them. You're around them a lot.
Sure.
And I think that's the small acreage managers don't have a lot to worry about. I don't believe they have a lot to worry about. How has that changed, though, Brandon, for you all over there in that Houston area? Like, in the last 5 years, what kind of change have you seen demand for small acreage cattle properties? You've been doing a content series that we'll point people to, and that's pretty neat.
Sure.
You're putting out a weekly cattle market update. What all are you doing there?
Yeah, so I do a weekly entire state of Texas cattle market, and it's an average right across the state. So that does fluctuate from depending on where you're at, but. I do that, and then I put together a content series about buying small acreage and running a small herd of cattle on anywhere from, let's just call it 10 to 20 acres, even up to 30 acres, right? And so the question we get is, can I operate and run cattle on a small acreage and be profitable? And the answer is yes. I mean, you can. I mean, our stocking rate down there is, acre and a half, 2 acres to, an animal unit. So, you can, especially with cattle prices now. If the cattle prices went back down, then, it might be a little tough just because of what the dirt actually costs you to run them on. But right now, you definitely can be.
So 20 acres at 2 acres a unit, which animal unit is what?
1,000-pound animal or cow-calf pair.
Cow-calf pair.
Yeah. So, if you're running calves, 3-weight calves, then you can have 3 of them.
Yeah.
So up to 1,000 pounds or cow-calf pair. Yeah.
So if you did the math there, if you had 10 animal units on 20 acres,
yep.
How big financially? What kind of operation is that?
Oh, I mean, if you're selling 10 calves a year at $2,500 a piece, that's $25,000. So
that doesn't suck.
That's not terrible,
no.
Right? And so what I tell
down there where you're working, what's 20-acre place bring?
Yeah, that's the magic question, right? Because you can go north and you can be 25,000 an acre. You can go a little further east and you can get dirt that you can probably run as many cows on for 10,000 an acre, right? You go further west and that might be 35,000 acre. Yeah. So that area, people call and they say, okay, what's land worth? Okay, where? Well, somewhere around Houston. Yeah. Okay, I'll ask again, where?
Yeah.
You go east, it's much cheaper. You go west, it's, and it's all about that fragmentation and what's happening, right? And so if I was running,
you've got some inputs there, fertilizer, weed spray, things like that.
Yeah.
So you're going to have some.
Absolutely. That's not all profit.
Yeah.
Right. That's not all profit. But
plus buying the cows.
Right. What I tell people is this: if you own the land free and clear, you can borrow some money to buy cows. Mm-hmm. If you own the cattle free and clear, you can borrow some money to buy land. I wouldn't borrow money to do both.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty tough. If you borrowed money to do both, that'd be pretty tough.
Well, unless you want to do it recreationally. Yeah, you're making your money somewhere else, and you want to have some cows and have some write-offs and have some fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but if you're looking, if somebody's looking to put a little bit of extra change in their pocket, it'd be pretty tough to show a pretty big profit if you're paying for both a debt service on your land plus debt service on cattle. If you owed money on both.
Yeah,
for sure.
What I want to do, I want to take a real quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll show some economics there.
Yeah,
that work.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by the Mock Ranches Real Estate Group. At Mock Ranches, we specialize in representing buyers and sellers of farms, ranches, and recreational land across the state of Texas. Our team sold over $1.25 billion of Texas land, and we focus on helping landowners make smart decisions about their most valuable assets. If you're thinking about buying or selling, or simply want to understand the land markets better, get a hold of us at mockranches.com. Mock Ranches, Texas land represented right.
All right, Brandon. So when we were at break there, you and I were doing some math on different types of cattle operations.
Mm-hmm.
So you could run mother cows, cow-calf pairs. What are the other options on small acreage or large? I mean, it doesn't matter the acreage size.
Yeah, right. So you can run stockers. You know, you can background run stockers.
What are stockers for those that don't know?
So basically, you're taking younger calves and feeding them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buying calves that are just weaned.
Yep, weaned calves and feeding them out to, whatever it is, and then selling those off.
Put them on grass.
Yeah.
Put them on grass. Grow them. We grow cattle on wheat pasture in the wintertime a lot in Central and North Texas. South Texas, you could just put them on grass. Got lots of grass.
Sure.
Put them on grass. Let them grow. Supplement them with some feed.
Yep.
Yeah. Get them ready to go to the feedlot.
That's right.
You're taking them from weaning to ready to go to the feed yard.
Yeah, and just depends on what your time you want to spend with them, and how much grass you have, and what you want to do, and how long you wait. How long you keep them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Whether you sell them back at 5, 6, 7, 8 weights, whatever it is. Yeah.
So you took a 20-acre on your math. You took a 20-acre farm. Give us the math real fast. And you did cow-calf?
Yeah, I did cow-calf pairs. So on 1.5 acres per animal unit, you're running. You can sell about 13 calves. I'm not considering any loss. It doesn't take it into consideration for
no
any
death loss, no
death
conception.
Loss. That's right.
Loss.
Yeah, that's 100%, which not very many are 100%, but we're gonna use the math at 100%, and then we can do some percentages of loss later. So if you're on a 20-acre place and you're spending 20,000 acres, it's a $400,000 investment, right, for the land. So for that debt service at 7% interest, you're somewhere in the $45,000 a year range, right? And so those calves are going to net you at $2,500 a calf. Make sure my math's right here. I don't have to take my boots off, but make sure my math is correct. So if you got 13 calves at $2,500 a calf, so $32,000. When you look at your expense of feed, fertilizer, vets, you're going to have, let's just call it $11,000-$12,000 worth of expense. So now we're down to, let's just call it $25,000 or $27,000 worth of profit. So
you have to have paid for the cows first.
Yeah, I haven't paid for the cows.
Yeah,
right?
paid for the cows.
That's right.
You're going to try to buy those.
So if you're buying pairs right now, pairs $5,000 a piece, right? And so
but you're going to get a calf off of that.
You got a calf immediately. Calf. Yeah. So
you're going to sell that calf like at today's prices. You would sell that calf to me, the stocker guy.
That's right. $2,500.
Yeah, or price per head right now on a 300-pound calf, averaging today is $1,750.
Yeah. Just depends on where the market is at the time you sell it. I think the last
right now they're trading at a little over $5 a pound.
Yeah, if we look at the
for 3 weights.
Yeah. So, but are you kicking them off at 3 weights, right? There's not very many. Not very many people are right kicking them off at 3 weights. Some do.
Some do.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you keep them longer, though, those 5 weights are bringing $420 a pound. Yeah. So your price per game between 300 and 500 pounds goes down quite a bit. $1.60 a pound.
Yeah.
Goes down quite a bit.
Sure.
So for the small acreage guy, remember, you've got a ranch for grass.
That's right.
Yeah. Grass is your friend. So for the small acreage guy, it may be okay to kick those calves off a little earlier and save your grass and let your cows recover. Maybe you just have to do your math.
That's right.
I ran the same math. We took the same 20-acre property, the same $20,000 an acre, financed through the farm credit system, 7.5% interest over 20 years.
I did mine at 15, so we're little apples to oranges there. But 15, I did mine at 15 years, but
okay. Yeah. Well, I did mine at 20 years. That'd be $320,000 in financed amount. Your annual debt service at $30,935 plus property taxes.
Yeah.
Right. But property tax is going to be
Pretty small.
a couple $100.
Yeah.
Not much
No.
in the 1D1 ag valuation.
That's right.
And if you want to know about property taxes, go back and listen to 2 episodes back from this one.
Yeah.
And you'll see, or maybe 4, depending on when this one comes out. It'll be less than 4 episodes back. You can see.
Yeah. My property tax bill,
conversation.
my property tax bill on my place in Walker County is $21 a year.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I mean, it is substantial.
Shane Kiefer and I sat down and had a whole discussion
You
about
bet.
property taxes. But back to it, your finance amount annually is going to be about $31,000 annually on that place is what your debt service is going to be. So divide that by 12 or however you pay. Stocking rate, animal unit to 1.5 acres. That's 13 animal units. Now I'm doing stockers on my pro forma. So I just factored 2 stalkers per unit. So a 500-pound average.
Yep.
Buying them younger, buying them smaller, feeding them up with the goal of putting 200 pounds on them before you trade them. So I could turn over at that 26 calves, but I could turn those over twice a year.
What'd you figure on your daily gain?
Couple of pounds.
Yeah.
2 pounds a day.
Yeah.
2 pounds a day. I don't think you're going to put 2.5 on them unless you're feeding them.
Might be a little heavy if you're just doing grass. But
Correct.
Yeah, that might be a little much.
Depending on what else you're giving them, if you're supplementing them, but 2 pounds a day. So at 2 pounds a day, I could put on 700 pounds of gain. Right? If you're going to get a full 2 pounds a day in all seasons, you could put on 700 pounds of gain on what you've got there.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm turning those over twice a year because you won't keep those stalkers through the whole year.
No.
Yeah. I'll buy some in the spring, buy some in the fall.
Yeah.
So you would not have kept them all year. So that would allow me to sell 26 calves times 2 is 52 calves a year. If I'm buying them at 3 weights at $5.80 a pound in today's market, selling them at 5 weights at $4.20 a pound in today's market, that gives me gross trading margin of $18,720. Now, I've got $90,000 invested in purchasing them. I got $90,000 in them to buy them. To buy 52 head at today's prices, I'm going to have $90,000 in that purchase. Yeah. So that's cash out of pocket. I got to calculate my cash on cash return, opportunity cost for that cash, or I'm going to have debt service on that $90,000.
That's right.
Which you can do.
Sure.
You can go borrow money on cows all day.
Yeah.
So I did not factor in the debt service on the cattle in that $90,000. So that puts my net annual cash flow, well, my net cattle income at about $10,000, $185 a head, and then net cattle income about $10,000 minus my debt service. So that means that 20-acre place is going to cost me around $25,000 a year.
Yeah.
After cows.
Yeah, and I think there's more work involved in that.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is
for sure. Than on the cow calf pair operation.
Yeah.
Right.
But also,
it's not free. Cow calf pair is not free. It's not free. There's labor involved.
Labor involved.
You bring a bull in for 60 days. Unless you're keeping a bull with them.
You'd want to lease a bull though.
That's all I do. I don't do anything. But small operation like that is just leasable.
Yeah. Leasable.
And depending on where you get it, $1,000 a year for that lease. Leasing the bull, depending on what it is. So the cost is not great there. But you have a longer. Now you got 9 months plus weaning time. 9 months to have the calf plus your weaning time. Yeah. Right. So it is definitely a yearly operation. One time a year is when you're going to realize that gain.
Depending on where you get your bull, though, you could get a guaranteed buyback program.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 44 farms or bunches of them have that.
You bet.
Yeah. Guaranteed buyback, bro. You're not having to go market your calves. You're not having to load them up, take them to the sale barn.
That's right.
They may have a guaranteed buyback for your calves.
Absolutely.
At a premium.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that number is going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can calculate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can calculate that.
It does fluctuate some, but at the end of the day, you can have a pretty good idea where you're going to be.
Now, we talked briefly there in that last portion about tax strategy. So you're making, on either operation, both operations, stockers and cow-calf pairs there that we just compared, you're making around $10,000 on your cows. That's what your cows are making, is around $10,000 that you're applying to debt service on the land, right? And that's not counting your time.
Yeah.
So somebody might have to figure what their time is worth. I guess as a third comparison, what are lease rates there for a 20-acre tract?
Man, that's such a variable. I mean, I've got a lease right now I don't pay anything for. You know, it is helping keep their ag valuation.
You probably got to keep the fences up.
You maintain the property. You know, you shred it. You know, if it needs shredded, you know, you keep it fertilized if it needs fertilized. But I mean, that's not nothing. That's not free, but it doesn't cost me a yearly lease. Yeah. Right. So there's some sweat equity involved and some money and diesel fuel and some other things. But you know, there's people that's doing it, you know, whether you do it on a yearly basis or you do it animal unit or you do it per acre. Yeah. Right. And so it's such a spread. And if you wanted
to lease a place, if you own a place, wanted to lease it, it's probably to your advantage to do per animal unit. I
think so. Right. Yeah. And the biggest drawback to that lease is you get, especially if you're away from it, you're not close to it. What they're, you know, are they going to overstock it? Yeah. You know, and then leave you with a mess to have to come in and clean up. Because if you wouldn't be able to lease it to the next guy. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
There's ways to make a premium. If you wanted to market your own beef, you could do that. Yeah. So we're talking about commercial cattle sale prices. We're not talking about registered stock. We're not talking about Wagyu cattle. Yeah. And we're not talking about marketing your own beef. So you market some of your own beef.
I do.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So, you know, it's you either selling your calves on the hoof or you're selling it in a package. And the return on selling it in a package is just far greater. Yeah. You know, I can sell, I can sell a steer at, you know, let's say he weighs 1,200 pounds and hangs at 8, you know, 758. You know, I can sell that for $9, $9.50 on hanging weight right now.
It's pretty strong.
That's not bad, right? Yeah. You bet. Whereas you take that same calf, you know, you're taking that, you know, say you take a 9-weight calf, you don't feed it all the way out to 1,200 because you're going to butcher it. You take that same calf you're going to take to the sale barn at 8s or 9 weights, whatever it is, and you're getting $3, $4 a pound for it.
So you're doubling your money per pound.
Yeah. Now you have longer time. You're holding it longer, right? So you have more feeding costs.
And you do have kill and process fee.
Yeah, process fee.
Yeah. But when you sell a half a beef on the rail, you're paying for the kill fee and they're paying to process it?
Nope. The way I do mine, I do mine a little bit different.
They being the buyer.
Being the buyer. Yeah.
Like if I wanted to buy a half a beef from you for my family for the year.
Yeah. I charge you $9.50 a pound.
Okay.
And I bring it to your door.
Okay. Packaged
to your door, hard frozen,
got it.
Vacuum sealed.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'd be getting how many pounds of meat?
Yeah. So if you figure, you know, on a hanging weight, you're going to get about 60% of hanging weight in beef.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So, you know, if you
I'm going to get 250 pounds of meat.
Yeah. On a half.
At $9 a pound.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know, and if you look at hamburger, if that's all hamburger meat, it might be a little expensive, but you can't buy the steaks for that.
Yeah, correct.
You can't even get close. And you know where it's coming from. That's the biggest thing, right? You know where that beef's coming from. And especially like your hamburger meat, you go up there and I won't say any grocer's name, but you go to a grocer and hey, at the end of the day, you don't know how many cows are involved in that package.
Have you ever compared farm raised beef to a package of Walmart hamburger meat?
You bet.
The color's not the same.
No.
The texture's not the same.
No.
The taste isn't the same.
Not even close.
Yeah. The water, if you look at especially on cheap burger, which I understand a lot of people have to, just based on economics, that's what they're limited to.
Sure.
But the amount of saline solution and water that's in that you're paying for, the shrinkage that's there, it's unbelievable. If you put like one of your burgers in a griddle and grill it and cook it versus a Walmart griddle, you start with a half-pound patty, what you end up with to eat is not the same.
No.
It's not the same. The shrinkage in the pan is a lot more.
Yeah, and I know where it comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and I know where it comes from.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now,
and there's a place for big agriculture.
Sure.
You know, big ranches that sell them at the sale barn and they all go through the processor and the packaging and there's certainly a place for that. But we're talking about how to maximize your opportunities as a small operator.
Yeah. Now
Work with
there's
a local
more.
killer. Work with a local butcher shop.
I
and a
mean,
local
he's
killer.
he's where I go, because they treat me well. I go all the way over to Luling.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah,
they do a great job there.
yeah. Hometown meats over there. I go all the way over there, but they, when they treat you well, it's worth the effort.
They popped up during the COVID area, and their target was farm to table. You bring us a few, and that was their target market at that processor.
Yeah, most of the time when I'm over there, picking up beef, from the freezer, there's 3 or 4 others, same thing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can buy it everywhere.
Yeah.
And, and that's okay. And if I don't get them sold to somebody for the beef, then, they go sell barn.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
You bet.
I like it.
I don't go to the sell barn with very many.
No.
So
In addition to cash flow, you've also got tax strategy. So you can depreciate any vertical improvements that you put in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really about when it goes into service, right? When you actually put it in service, right?
Yeah.
If you're, you may mess up and not put something in service for a little while, and then you can start, getting that benefit from when you put it in service as far as that goes, depreciation.
So not tax advice or anything.
No.
Right. Certainly not that.
I'm not a CPA.
But in addition to your cattle inventory and the purchase, you may have some vertical improvement. So you think about this office, right? I build this office, or I remodel this office, and everything in here, the flooring, the windows, the HVAC, the mechanical, the paint, the furniture, it's all got a depreciation lifespan to it. Mm-hmm. So the difference in buying farm and ranch land is you can't always depreciate it the same way.
Sure.
Right. But the vertical improvements have a lifespan. So let's take that same example, the same 20-acre place at a $20,000 an acre purchase price. You've got a $400,000 asset there. Okay. Yep. Let's assume it needed fencing and pins, probably had something. Let's just say we're going to do it the right way and redo it, which, by the way, is a part of your model for buyers too, right? They come in, that's adding value. If they're going to keep a place 5 years, that's going to,
you bet,
for sure help them out. Mm-hmm. So,
well, if you don't have fences, you don't have a cattle operation.
Correct, 100%.
So, yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And it's one of the first things you can do to add value to a place, right?
Right?
So I just factored $30,000 in fencing and pins plus a pole barn to put commodities under.
Yeah.
Stack some hay, park your feed buggy or your tractor. Everybody needs a tractor and a Polaris Ranger when they've got a ranch.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
where we're going to park those investments that are out of the sun. So you've got a total investment there, $450,000 by the time you bought the place, built the barn, put up fences and some. You don't need a big set of pipe pins, right?
No. I think it's probably one of the biggest misconceptions. I buy this 20-acre place and I need to go crazy building working pens, and I mean, you need to have something to catch your cattle in and work them. But I use a bud box.
What's a bud box?
Bud box is, it's a
Budweiser box?
No. Oh. So and I'd love to tell you the guy's name, but it's from his name, but it's really just a rectangular working system, and it uses the cattle's instinct. Instead of forcing cows to go somewhere, you're using their natural instinct to go where they want to go.
Yeah.
And it's nothing more than a 14 by 28 rectangle with a one loading chute off the side with a squeeze chute. Mm-hmm. And it's overly simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is overly simple. So that's what I use. And I built it out of portable pins.
Yeah.
And, so I don't have there's not a whole lot of money involved, but some of that also comes with that 20-acre piece of property, what we talked about before, mostly pretty docile, right? So, I mean, I go out there, they go to the pen because they know that's where I'm going to put a little bit of feed. They don't have to have the feed, but that's what that's why I do that.
Yeah. Same if you're running stalkers. They're not big cows. They don't tear as much stuff up.
That's right.
Yeah.
You bet.
You may have to handle them a little more though.
Now you have to have something, but again, most people think, I've got to spend all this money on, you can build a relatively really nice bud box for $2,500 plus a squeeze chute, another $2,500, so $5,000.
Well, I figured $30,000 in fencing and pins because I think you can get it done right for that. Yeah. Put you a nice entrance setback where you can pull your trailer in off the farm to market road and not have your trailer extending out and you get hit. So make sure you set your gates in.
Sure.
Put in some double gates, maybe even if they're prefert gates, double gates where you can get in and off the highway.
Yeah.
easily.
Don't get ran over.
Yeah, if you're not used to pulling a gooseneck or a trailer, you're not hooking the gate post with the trailer, all those things, right?
Sure.
And then a pole barn, I just factored $20,000 at a pole barn. You'll have some road base underneath it. That's not with a slab, but road base underneath it. You can stack some hay and park your equipment. So you got $50,000 there in improvements. So those improvements are depreciable. Okay.
Yeah.
The pole barn on a 20-year basis and the fencing and pins on a 7-year basis. So you can depreciate those things across 7 years on the fencing and 20 years on the pole barn. You can also take, if you wanted to accelerate that, total first year depreciation, you could write off $31,000 because you could take those fences and pins all in the first year, and the pole barn over 20. So you'd apply $1,000 there. So $31,000 in year one deduction. Your stalkers, under my example, your stalkers are inventory. They're purchased for resale. Different than mother cows.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But stalkers are purchased for resale. They're held for less than a year. They're not breeding stock. Therefore, they are not depreciable. So if you really want to get granular and if every dollar matters, get with a good CPA that understands agriculture. There are some resources, public resources available here too for education.
Sure.
But get with a good CPA because stalkers are not depreciable. And then let's see what else I've got. Yeah, that I realize a better pro forma when I do that because of the year one depreciation.
Right.
Yeah. I realize a little better. The cattle don't create the tax shelter, the improvements do in this situation, right? So on the $400,000 ranch or $50,000 infrastructure, you may only make $10,000 running the cows, but you could generate over $30,000 in first year depreciation. That's why many buyers are really just buying the dirt and the lifestyle, and
they
want
just
to be in it.
They want to be in it. They want to be involved in it. That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear. I want to get out of town and go raise a few cows. I want to go get out of town and raise a few cows and put some honeybees, or you know, you pick the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing you might do on this, because I think that in agriculture, and if you do this, whether it's a hobby or not, you're in agriculture.
Sure.
Okay. So every dollar counts. A few episodes ago, we interviewed Kyla Dodson with Boa Safra. And so I also interviewed the guys at Bird Dog, and they work in the legacy nutrient deduction.
Yeah.
IRS Section 180s, legacy nutrient deductions. And so Section 179 is another one. But you might get $1,700 an acre in legacy nutrient deduction. Now you have to need the deduction against your income taxes.
Sure.
But you may go get that. And so if you take that, and that effectively reduces your land basis down by $1,700. You're taking 10% off your land cost. You do that plus your depreciation plus the cash flow. Now you're getting closer to
making some money.
Yeah, paying for half the place anyway.
Yeah.
And the place is going to appreciate.
That's right.
That's what we haven't discussed.
That's right. That's the biggest, probably the biggest factor is the appreciation of that dirt.
So go into that. How much over your career, your last 5 acres, has that Southeast Texas stuff appreciated?
Oh, yeah. So I'd say by 15% or better.
Yeah.
Over the 5 years.
Over the 5 years.
Yeah.
So, okay.
You're not. I think if you look year over year, you're 3%-ish a year.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
some years a lot better. And some years
it's
real
snapshot
flat.
in time as well, right? It's not, it's not it's not just a climbing 3%, but if you look at a snapshot in time, some of that might be under, some of that might be above, but I think overall you can bet on about 3% appreciation a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else are you seeing over there, Brandon? Talk about marketing those ranches or representing buyers, how to help buyers and sellers both be successful.
Yeah, so I think we talked about a little bit. It's I want to get out of town and do something, right? I want a weekend place. I can go south, and I'm even helping people right now that mama wants to move back into the suburbs, but she's also saying, hey, we can move in the suburbs, but you can go buy you 50 acres and put your cattle on, and they're an hour away, right? So there's still that, that is happening. But you know what?
I actually like that.
Yeah.
That's the way my wife and I do.
Yeah.
When we first moved back here to Stephenville, we bought a ranch down south of town, about 15, 20 miles. And then we bought the place we live on, which some people would call a ranch. I don't, but some people would call that a ranch too. You could run some cows on it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live on the ranch because I wanted to be able to turn the ranch over. I wanted to be able to sell it and upgrade. And I didn't want to have to sell my house to do it.
Yeah.
So we actually wanted to live separate. Yeah. And I see that a lot for people.
It is relatively common. A lot of people, are willing to drive that 1 hour to go take care of their cows. And that's how we operate. I've got 2 places and it's the same thing for us. We live in the suburbs. I'm not a suburb guy, but we live in the suburbs and, it's 30 minutes to one place and an hour to the other.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to live on it because I'd rather be there all the time, but it's a compromise and I'm willing to do it.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I'd like to live close to it.
Yeah, there you go.
Just didn't want to live on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of people,
the only reason was that is because that ranch that we bought was not our forever place. I knew that ranch was going to fill our attention span for a short period of time, and we were going to sell it and make some money on it.
Sure.
We did not subdivide it. We just improved it. And so we do exactly what we tell our clients to do. Buy it. We cleared some brush. We built some fence. We put in a nice entrance. We brought power in, drilled a well, sold it.
Yeah.
And made a good return on that place. And I wanted to do that again. But if my house was attached to it, it became way more complex because Mama don't want to sell her house. I don't either. I hate moving.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wish moving a worst enemy.
One of the things that we deal with is, the social media effect. We get a phone call. I want to raise, mini Highland cows. I want to, I want this. And I want
homesteaders,
which is all great, right? Until we actually educate them a little bit and we help them understand what work's involved, right? Because yes, as far as financially, it can be done, but there is WORK involved.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right there in Houston, man, the greater Houston metro area is like 7.5 million people now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and there's still, there's a lot of them that's, that own places outside of, that's just in the greater Houston. You talk about an hour away from that is where they're, a lot of them are doing their thing, with cattle or whatever, because there's not very many cattle places in the greater Houston area, quite frankly.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
So it is, most of them are having to drive that, 45 minutes to an hour away to get to that land.
Yeah. 2 hours out and you're getting into the greater Austin area.
Yeah.
If you go
for sure,
that direction
if you're heading west, north and west.
What's the average time on market there for these kind of properties that you're seeing?
Good ones, 120 days.
Okay.
Yeah. But preface that with good ones.
Yeah, good ones.
Yeah.
How would you quantify that or define that?
Yeah. The ones that you can go on and you don't look and say, I'm inheriting a bunch of work. Mm-hmm. There's work involved already, right?
Yeah.
But you go on it and the fences are up, it's, improved pastures. You don't have, down tree limbs all over the place.
Yeah.
And, you don't have a dilapidated barn. Those things, right? You go on it and the barn's in good shape. If there is one, if there's not one, it's just not there. But fences are in, bad shape and, it'll hold cows, but there's one little strand of barbed wire. And what they haven't told you is, they get a call on a daily basis from their neighbors saying their cows run down the road, So those are not the good ones.
They'll hold cows, but they won't hold bulls.
Yeah, that's right. So, the
neighbor's bull.
The good ones, but that's where the education comes in, for people that call and say, hey, we want to sell. Okay. Do we want to fix this up or do we want to price it accordingly? And if they're willing to price it accordingly, then we're okay.
Yeah.
But if they're wanting that top dollar and the condition's not there, now we're a lot longer than that 120 days on market.
You've done some ranch staging recently with some of your clients to help address that.
Yeah. Put a place on the market over in Milano and, just wanted to open up some more area for them. And so we talked about Texas Land and Wildlife with you guys and got the machines out there and really just transformed what that property looked like. It was overgrown. He had done some clearing with some dozers and they just left a bunch of piles for him.
Yeah.
And so that job's not complete, but it is well under its way. And the clients just for the spend that he's spending, like I've told him, for this one specifically, he may not get dollar for dollar back out of that money back out of it, but he's not going to have to fight you're priced too high because of I've got to come in and do this work. That work's already done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he gets,
if you look,
I think he gets a pretty significant return. I bet he gets 2 to 3 times his money back.
Yeah.
On it.
Well,
because it wasn't a huge spend.
Wasn't a huge spend, but he was wanting to price it at the top of the market.
Yeah.
And so
it makes it sellable there.
It makes it sellable at the top of the market, to whereas, you don't do it. Now you might lose $100,000 worth, on offers because, somebody comes in and says, well, I want to do all this because, it just looks like, it looks rough. Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon's talking about our sister company, Texas Land and Wildlife. We stage for our clients. We do work for the general public, obviously, too.
Sure.
But a lot of our work is for our ranch sellers.
Yeah.
Helping them stage. You come into a place and it's too rough to show, and the roads are grown up and the pastures are grown up, and it used to have a hilltop with a view, and now that's grown up. And so we'll come in. We don't try to compete with the big mulching operations like the Cedar Eaters of the world. We're not trying to compete with them necessarily. We like to complement them more than anything.
Sure.
But we want to come in and clean those places up for spend a few days to a week there is kind of our sweet spot. And we've got mulching machines and big brush cutter machine. And we'll come in and clean stuff up. And some of our clients will actually allow them, if they price it correctly, to pay us at closing. Because if they had the money, they might have already done that.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's just a value add where we can extend that to them and say, hey, let's do this. This is going to make the ranch worth this much more money, or actually make it sellable and able to show it, which is important to be able to sell it.
Yeah, I'll tell you the comment that I got from this particular seller after day one. He calls me and says, I may not want to sell.
Yeah.
It just changed.
Should have done this a long time ago.
It did. That's right. It changed the overall look of the property. And he said, it might change my mind on selling.
Yeah, there you go.
But he didn't. So
yeah.
So it's all good. Yeah. No, it's a good service. If somebody wants to get that upper part of the market for their property and is willing to, put that into it, I think it's a great investment. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your model, Brandon? You represent buyers and sellers. If a buyer calls and says, I'd like to buy a place, and I know a lot of them want to keep on 3 to 5, 7 years or something like that and turn their money over and upgrade.
Yeah.
It's what I like to do.
Sure.
What do you tell them to do? What's the things to put into one? What's the model there?
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about it already. So it's fencing, but one thing we haven't talked about is water.
Oh yeah.
Water, either A, making sure it's got it, or B, understand what it's going to cost to get it. Where I'm at, 400-foot well costs you $20,000.
Okay. You prefer well water or pond water?
I prefer well water. My cattle I've had some cattle on well water or on pond water, and I just didn't like the way they looked on it.
Stock tank.
Yeah.
In Missouri, you call it a pond or a tank?
They're ponds back home.
Pond in Missouri.
Yeah, and they're called tanks here in Texas.
Yeah.
That's okay. I when I first got here and people were, using that term, I was like, tank? Was it metal? What kind of tank are we talking? No, that tank right over there. And where? Yeah. So I got educated real quick.
I think you told me that one time. A seller sent you out to a place, you're by yourself, and went looking for the tank.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what tank. I see your pond. No, that's a tank. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. But no, water's, water, and water and fences, if you don't have either one of those, you don't have much of an operation, especially on cattle. But improving the pastures, I think, is one, that gets overlooked a lot, whether it be, fertilizing, getting rid of weeds or whatever the place, or such as this last client we have, opening up some pasture.
Yeah.
Getting
more grazable acres.
More grazable acres. That's right.
What's in your opinion the right percentage of wooded cover shade to open pasture?
I guess it depends on the size, but if we're going to talk about that 20 acres, 80%.
80% open.
80% open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that I've got a couple places, and one of them is a lot more wooded than I'd like for it to be. But just the way it lays out, it just is what it is over, the back corner. So, but then I got another place that is probably 90%. It doesn't have quite enough, cover on it for shade. So,
and how big or small as a place needed to be to start thinking about cross fences and rotational grazing?
Well, I think on a 20-acre rotational grazing is a great idea. Yeah, and whether you do it, with actual fences or with virtual fences now, I think virtual fences is a good option, especially for smaller, because right there off your mobile device, your telephone, you can move your fences, and as long as you have access to that water, right, and if you have water in multiple places, so that's probably one of the big, as far as cattle places, getting water where it needs to be, as far as being able to make that money back later, right? Getting water where it needs to be. And then if you're going to do hard fencing, making sure you do it to where the water's there and it makes sense that you can move the cattle, right?
Rotational grazing, why is that important?
Yeah, it just allows your time. Cattle are healthier, right? Because they're eating fresh grass, and it gives your ground time to recover. And
it makes them eat
you're stalking
too. It makes them, they can't. It's a little different on improved pasture.
Sure.
But improved pasture, even then,
they can't be selective. They can't be selective.
They have to eat it all, and then you can let it grow. So you put them on. The best way to flash graze that is load up this piece of pasture with more than it would handle year round.
Sure.
Make them eat it all.
Yeah.
Move them to the next place. Once your grass gets to a certain height, move them to the next pasture. Move them over. Then they graze that one down. This one grows back. Move them back. It gives you time to weed control, fertilize, recover pastures. They're always eating a newer growth.
And your stocking rate's higher.
Stocking rate can be higher. That's right.
Yeah.
But you can do it with electric fences too.
Oh, sure. You can do it relatively simple electric fence.
Sure. And on a small place, you may run a water hose over there to a water trough.
Yeah.
If you needed to do that.
Yeah. You just have to have the plan. What am I going to do? You can't just, I'm going to buy this 20 acres. I'm going to do rotational grazing. Okay, cows are here. Well, if you don't have that plan in place of how you're going to get them water, how are you going to keep them off of where you want, put them where you want them to eat, it's too late. Now you can come back and get it done, but for
cows
sure.
are pretty lazy. Sometimes you have to force them, even on a 20-acre place, you may have to force them to go to the back corner.
Yeah, that's right.
To eat that grass. And then there may be enough grass there to support another half an animal unit.
Well,
that's not a lot, but that's $1,000 of grass at these numbers we looked at earlier. That's $1,000 worth of grass back there in the corner. Sure. That if you don't rotational grazing where you're forcing them to eat everything, they may not go eat it. It's just lost grass. It's lost feed. Yeah. It's like going and getting $1,000 worth of feed at the feed store and
leaving it in the back of your truck, leaving it in the back of your truck and get wet and mold up.
That's it. Yeah. Think about it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
That's exactly
right.
Or,
if you think about it and someone cutting and baling your hay and you just leave that bale of hay sitting out in the pasture.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's right.
But that rotational grazing, I don't do it. I do, I don't do it. And it's really because of my availability of time. You have to have the time to go move them.
Where can people follow you? How can they get subscribed to your content?
Yeah. So I'm slowly becoming social media savvy. And not that I'm scared of it. It's just not what, I use Facebook to look at Marketplace and find trailers that needed rebuilt and cattle panels that somebody else didn't want and stuff like that. So, Facebook, Instagram, I finally got on the TikTok thing, starting to put some videos out. So, we can link all that. But you're right. It's not just cattle properties, especially where I'm at, people just want to be able to go get out of the city for a weekend, and not have cows on it. Cause you can still get your ag valuation on anything from 5 to 20 acres in most of the counties around Houston with simple honeybees. You put honeybees on it. Now you have a place you can go drag your camper to on weekends, and it's only costing you $200-300 a year in taxes, and you can go get out of town. Yeah, for sure. And we have a lot of buyers that do that. Yeah, for sure.
If you got buyers in that Southeast Texas market and they're wanting to start a search, what should they do first?
Know your budget. You really need to know what your buying power is and know where you want to go.
Got it.
Because that budget changes. Or what you can buy with that same dollar in, let's just call it northeast of Houston versus west of Houston is not the same.
Yeah.
It is not even close to the same. What you can buy, where you can, I can sell you $5,000 acre property, far, East Texas versus $25,000-$30,000 acre, west of Texas,
Toward
Houston.
Brenham.
Yeah. West of Houston.
Got it.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I appreciate it very
You
much.
bet. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, proud of you. Appreciate it. Y'all can follow Brandon on Instagram, Facebook. Get a hold of us, small-acreage.com. Got the weekly cattle market update that comes out.
Comes out every Sunday.
Every Sunday. Yeah. And that's on your Facebook?
It's on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So we'll link to those.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty neat. I've enjoyed getting that. And
Yeah.
then you're putting out weekly tips for landowners.
That's right.
Videos. Yeah, like vlogs.
You bet.
Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
bet.
Appreciate all your work.
Thanks
Y'all
for
need
having
something
me.
around the Houston area, anywhere in Southeast Texas and up to Northeast Texas.
Yeah,
you got a bunch of stuff up there too.
Have truck will travel.
Yeah.
You
Even
bet.
he's got a Dodge, so we'll see how far it gets him down the road.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, Brandon. Thanks, buddy.
You
See
bet.
ya.
That wraps us up. I appreciate you listening to The Landowner Insider. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to follow the show, leave us a review, and share it with another Texas landowner. For more insights, listings, and resources for Texas landowners, visit mockranches.com. Till next time, I'm Kasey Mock, your host. This has been The Landowner Insider. Go get 'em.